my life, our lives, that's life. That's Life with Sheran Keyton, chatting about love, life, and everything in between. Your life, my life, our lives, that's life. Your life, my life, our lives, that's life. Your life, my life, our lives, that's life.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to That's Life with Sheran Keyton. I'm so glad that you all joined me today. And the topic today is so near and dear to my heart, and so is my very special guest. Have you ever worked really, really hard and done a thing and accomplished a thing, and it was all for yourself, but you would have greatly appreciated if someone would have just reached right around and patted you on the back? We all have. Every now and again, we need that. We need that little bit of love, that little bit of touch from someone that says, you did a great job, that little bit of encouragement, that little bit of, I think I can, I think I'm right. All right, I'm not gonna go any further. But sometimes it becomes imperative. It's like, I worked hard, I deserve this. Where's that? My next guest is one of the hardest working young women that I have ever met. I am just in awe of her talent, of her beauty, of her mind, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. But I don't want to tell you, I want to show you. So I'd like to welcome to my stage, Dr. Erica Simmons. Hi. Hello. How are you? Good. Have a seat. Welcome to my house.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, y'all, did I lie? Isn't she amazing? Isn't she cute? Okay, listen, she put her, I'm gonna just keep on, show my Listen, these people coming on this show showing me up with these shoes. Y'all know I don't wear shoes. Gosh, Erica, I want to dive right in because I don't know. I'm just going to start with the hard stuff. Okay. Talk to me about what your profession is in the entertainment industry.
So my profession as it pertains to the entertainment industry is an opera singer.
Yeah.
So I sing anything. And so opera is like an umbrella term, but that could be choral singing, concert singing, main stage. If that were to happen one day, knock on something.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I do. I also teach voice and I also do research with vocal pedagogy and voice science. So all of those things kind of go together. But yeah.
I don't know about y'all. I don't know what pedagogy. Come on, tell the people what pedagogy is.
Yeah, pedagogy is just basically the instruction of how to teach something. So vocal pedagogy is learning how to teach voice and also how to teach others to teach voice.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Wow, you're so multi-talented. You're so multifaceted. It's almost like I don't know where to begin. But I will say this, growing up in my community and being a little Black girl, I never even heard of opera.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know that was an art form, right? And even as I became a teenager, I guess is the first time I actually heard of opera, I had no idea that there were Black opera singers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. And then someday someone introduced me to Leontine Price.
Mm-hmm.
Same. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, so there's one Black opera singer? Yay. Yay. And then someone introduced me to Paul Robeson, and it wasn't opera singing, but it was a much more classical sound than I'd ever heard. So, I mean, I grew up in the church. Mm-hmm. Everything was,
yes.
Yeah. Yes. You know, it was like, that's it, you know. And so
Yeah.
I'm on. I got you. We come on now, Dr. Y'all, Dr. Erica's clowning. Dr. Erica's not going to come up in here clowning in such a fashion.
I just don't speak the same language, you know? I understand.
We do speak the same language. So that was a very new concept for me. Talk to me about how you got from, I'm a young Black girl who has never heard of this art form, to now being a master of this art form.
Oh, this is one of my favorite questions because my experience was very similar to yours. I think at some point because my father was very eclectic, his tastes were very eclectic. So he listened to a plethora of genres. So at some point I must have been exposed to classical, but I always thought that was Caucasian music or white people's music. I didn't know that. I didn't know I could have anything to do with that. And so I'm trying to make a long story short, but my grandmother back in the day, before, everyone had home computers, my grandmother had those encyclopedias, and she would, if the children, she would keep her, yes, exactly. Yes. And if the children got too rambunctious, she would say, go in there and read something out of the encyclopedia. Like, okay. So I remember stumbling upon, I think I was in the A's, Marian Anderson, and saw that she was the first African-American to sing at the Metropolitan Opera. Yes. And I was like, wow. But still, that was how many years ago? So I'm still thinking this is something that's, there are one or two Black people that can do it, but this is not something that your girl that, for all intents and purposes, grew up in the hood. Yeah. I grew up in, I wouldn't say I grew up in poverty, but I grew up around poverty for sure. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that was for me. It wasn't until I got into middle school, and this is why representation and hiring Black professors, hiring Black teachers. Yeah. I had a middle school choir teacher. I think her first name was Janet. We just call Miss whoever, but Miss Baker, my middle school choir teacher. And she had a beautiful soprano voice. And that was the first time I saw myself. I saw myself in not some removed grand figure. And it planted the seed that maybe I could be this. I grew up playing the organ in church. Mm-hmm. My father is a pastor and all of that. I grew up Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal.
Yes. Put the camera over here. Put the camera over here. I'm going to just bring this interview to a screeching halt to remind all of you, if you're not following me on social media, I'm an honorary Kojic. I bought a tambourine. Carry on.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and so I thought I couldn't sing growing up. Yeah. I, with the doctorate in vocal performance, had always been led to believe I couldn't sing because I don't have that soulful, that, loud Fantasia type of sound. Yes. And so I tried to go a different path when I got to college, but then it ended up coming back to opera, and from there, it just took off. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's kind of weird because I share your experiences and in some ways, and then in some ways, one might think that my path has been a little bit easier because I'm exactly what people expect. Mm-hmm. When I walk into a room, people see a big Black woman and they go, oh yeah, she's about to blow the roof off the building. And then I go up there and blow the roof off of a building, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Gospel, big powered voice, that's what they expect. They're like, in all of that, there's some diaphragm action. And there is. But people cannot possibly be expecting you to open your mouth and outpours this, Jesus comes out when you open your mouth. Like, you have an amazing soprano voice. And I know for me.
Don't start.
I'm trying not to. I know for me, when I walk into spaces, no matter how red my hair is, or how long my lashes are, or how amazing my makeup is, or how great my shoes are or not, I feel very unseen. I walk into places And sometimes I'm like, hi, I'm trying to find out where the bathroom is. And people walk past me, people that work there, they ignore me. I'm just like, because they don't know that I'm about to transform into the singer that they paid to be here.
Yeah.
Especially when I show up with, and I love my white band, both of my white bands, my all white, old male white bands, both of them. When I walk in with them, there is a noticeable difference in how they're received when we go places and how I'm received. So people don't really see me when I just walk into a space, right? I'm not gonna cry.
It's just gone past the tissue then, because you're gonna.
So then when I get on that stage and I do what I do on that stage, and you and I are very much the same regardless of the genre that we perform, we leave it there.
Yeah.
Old and new, for all things old and new, we leave it there because it's in us, right? Then all of a sudden, everyone is like, "Oh my gosh, you're so great! I love you so much. What's your IG?" And I'm just like, "Ma'am, I asked you where the bathroom was when I first came in, and you blew me off."
Yeah.
You know, and talk to me about that. Talk to me about how that affects you when you walk into a space, no matter how fabulous, and you're that Black girl versus after you sing and people hear what comes out of your mouth.
It for me, and first of all, thank you for sharing, because we can sometimes tend to feel like ostracized or like isolated in our experiences and our emotions. Like, this is just happening to me, especially if, at least for me, looking at other successful Black opera singers, I don't know, I'm certain they're having similar issues, but it can feel very daunting for me. I am usually, if they're wondering why I'm there, and it's going to be any other, surely you couldn't be the opera singer that we're expecting. I mean, I don't have my name is racially ambiguous,
Yes.
so maybe, or it's never, if there's a doctor so-and-so, it couldn't possibly be me. It's always, yes. And I'm like, no, I'm the judge. No, I'm the talent. No, I'm, the adjudicator, whatever it is.
Yes.
That gets old really quickly, and it can be paralyzing, especially if you have social anxiety, which I do.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
It kind of makes me want to, I feel as though at times I'm apologizing for my presence, and I want to shift from that mentality to taking up as much space as I can.
Speak then.
And just being like, I am here. You will not ignore me. You know exactly who I am. You know I'm not the help. You know I'm not whatever. I'm presenting myself as such, whatever. It's a struggle. It is definitely a struggle, especially to just know that magically getting a doctorate is not going to absolve me of having to go through those experiences.
Yeah.
But I have to be so rooted and grounded in who I am.
Yes.
And just look at others and say, well, no, there's an issue with you. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yes. Yes. Gosh. So I know, and thank you, very well said, very well spoken. And that's not an under the table compliment for all the other ladies and gentlemen who look at brown girls and brown boys and go,
You're so
well spoken.
I would hope so.
It's like, what am I supposed to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I know what you mean.
Gosh, I don't know if you've noticed, but from the moment you were almost about to get your degree, I started posting on social media in person in front of everybody who would listen. So this is Dr. Erica Simmons. This is Dr. Erica Simmons. Oh yeah, Dr. Erica Simmons. Dr. Erica Simmons. Because I want to be instrumental in making sure that when you walk in a room, people respect you for the hard work that you put in. Ma'am, I struggled to just get that bachelor's. And I was 42, I think, when I finally did that. I think I was 38 when I got an associate's degree. And then I did the rest of my time. And I was 42 when I got my bachelor's. And I was like, yeah, thank you, God. I made it. I'm done. It was hard work.
Yeah.
And so I cannot even imagine continuing on and furthering your education while teaching, while performing as a professional opera singer, while, and getting this degree, and then having people not acknowledge you by name. And not because it's an ego thing, but not acknowledge you by name. So I want to delve into that a little bit. And you can say as little or as much as you want. Millions of people are going to see this because everybody's going to share. Talk to me about that. Your music department at the school that you teach at has to be filled with other people of all ages, all cultures, all races. Some of them probably have their doctorate degree. Some of them probably don't. Mm-hmm. But you're all teachers. Talk to me about where the respect level lies or not.
It's interesting to me when I hear, so if someone has a doctorate, I consider them, we're colleagues. We absolutely can be on first name basis. It's not that serious. And on another level, if we're working together as equals, I don't need my, opera colleagues calling me Dr. So-and-so or doing a scene together. It's okay. But at the same time, if you're giving that greeting or respect or deference to another or certain other individuals, but only when it comes to me, and I've seen this actually happen, not just with some of my colleagues of other races, but also genders. It's like I've worked, this was really, really, really interesting. I worked with a colleague, obviously won't name any names. He's African-American and he was always referred to by his title. Mm-hmm. But these same individuals that referred to him by his title would only call me by my first name. And that was just, we literally have the same degree. Mm-hmm. So, that was more of a gender thing. It's just always, even sometimes with my students, they'll tell me, Professor Simmons, Dr. So-and-so said such and such.
Wow.
And I will even sign my emails, sign Dr. Simmons. And they'll be like, thank you, Professor Simmons. Like they just refuse to. So that's one of those things I go back to. I don't necessarily need anyone. No one could ever call me doctor for the rest of my life. You can't take away my degree. You can't take away you can't take away the knowledge that I have and the expertise that I have and all of that. So, and who I am, who I was before getting the doctorate, my intrinsic value, you can't take that away. But yes, at the same time, I just think it must be something within them, some internal bias I'm at a place in my life where I'm starting to understand a lot of the things that people, it's just like, it's really, mundane, but when you point your finger at a person, those fingers are pointing, you have several pointing back at you. A lot of times when people try to minimize us, it's because they're dealing with something. It's some internal bias within themselves. It has nothing to do with me. And it's unfortunate that I have to be immersed in this construct where Black women are not as respected as our counterparts.
Absolutely.
But I will say always finding a way to try to rise above that can be exhausting. Like, I'm tired of fighting. Just like respect me, I respect you. Like, why does it have to be the thing?
Why do I have to work so hard?
Yeah, I already worked hard. I already worked hard for my doctorate. I shouldn't have to work hard for respect.
You to acknowledge it.
Yeah. That's it. It does not diminish you in any way to acknowledge who I am and my title. That's it.
Yeah.
So, but the alternative is just to, be a format. So I have to continue to try to, rise above.
Yeah. And you also have to avoid the stereotype of then being considered the angry Black woman.
Oh, yes.
When you do bring it to someone's attention, or if you've just had enough, all of a sudden.
Oh, okay. Dr. Simmons,
Yes.
Like,
and it's like, I'm sorry, did you just address me correctly, but with sarcasm? Great. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, there's no situation in which I would feel comfortable, especially in a work setting, addressing that. I'm going to be labeled the angry Black woman.
Absolutely.
So I have to smile and just, continue to assert and refer to myself as Dr. Simmons. And at this point, if you hear me say that enough, you have to know that I know you're just intentionally being disrespectful.
Absolutely.
So as long as you know that I see you,
absolutely.
smile,
Absolutely.
but I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there because then you give them something to weaponize against you. And it's unfortunate we have to do this little waltz and dance, but
absolutely. Or that we have to be so conscious
yes.
of our actions, our reactions to other people's actions.
Yes.
It is very exhausting. It is very exhausting. It almost sometimes slows me down in life because I'm so cautiously thinking very quickly in my head constantly, okay, if I say this, then there's always an if then. Mm-hmm. If I say this, then this reaction. If they say, and so I'm just, sure, I'm in a permanent state of sure, yeah, not a problem. But I will say this. My grandmother was the most verbal. She had 0 F's to give. 0. And she didn't care. She didn't care how old. She didn't care your race, culture, creed, your gender. She didn't care. Mm-hmm. Big Mama told it like it was. Big Mama let people have it. And nobody put her in the angry Black woman box.
Oh.
She just was. Mm. And I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be like Big Mama, and I don't know how long I'm going to be able to wait to get there. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm 47 right now, and so I'm watching the clock. I'm like, when can I start just being like Big Mama? Because she didn't care. If she had a thing to say to you, she just said that thing to you.
Yeah.
You and she didn't care how you received it. She didn't have to pre-think what your reaction might be, so then she has to say something different in order to keep the peace in any given situation. She just put it out there, and it was up to you how you received it.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I want, before we run out of time, though, to acknowledge the fact that as we were going through my wardrobe choices for each episode, without thought, I just said, I feel like I'm going to match Dr. Erica's energy a little bit. I was like a little animal print, a little red something.
I almost wore leopard and I went with protest.
That would have been so amazing. Like, they would have thought we did it on purpose. They probably think we did this on purpose. We didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just on the same page, and we didn't. Yeah. But as we kind of segue a little bit and quickly into, I think, the reason why you wear so much red. And I feel some subliminal shout outs from your earrings too. Yes. So talk to me about your identities. We know that you're an opera singer. We know that you're a professor of music and voice. We know that you are Dr. Erica Simmons. Talk to me about these earrings. Talk to me about this ensemble.
Yes, this is definitely a nod to the devastating divas of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, for which I am a member. And yes, so that is definitely, my sisterhood is definitely something that grounds me. That's an oasis that I can go to and soak and bathe in other educated Black women who are like-minded and striving at the top of their fields.
Yeah.
And we can share stories and also trying to make the world a better place. So definitely consider myself an activist in so many different ways, politically, but also giving back to the community. Next week, we're actually planning, a few of my line sisters and I are planning a huge community service event. Several of us are trying to feed at least 200 to 400 people.
Wow.
We're hiring, one of my line sisters has her own catering company, and so we're feeding free food, and then we also have supplies for the homeless. And to me, that's what Delta is. It's service.
Absolutely.
And so above all, I consider myself a servant.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to give Dr. Erica Simmons about 2 minutes to just tell you all. You're going to look right there in that camera.
Okay.
And I want you to tell anyone who's watching this show today, just give them some sound advice about what it means to be, as cliche as it may sound, a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. This world is not built for you, but you're built for success. Give the nice people out there in That's Life with Sheran Keyton land some of your words of Dr. Simmons' wisdom, if you would.
Okay. So I feel like this is going to be a poopery of, of a bunch of different things. But again, what I would say, take up space. I used to be so timid, but now I just ask questions. How did you get that job? And if people, it may come off as being very, forward or blunt, but so how did you get to where you are now? So what should I do next? So I'm asking all of the questions because it's very tiptoe taboo in a lot of these spaces. And it's usually people are networking and they have connections and they don't want to talk about that as much. But I obviously never give up. Also, redefining what success looks like is huge for me because there's a saying that says comparison is the thief of joy. And if you're always looking at what others are doing, you're missing your own journey, and you have to celebrate yourself for what you're doing. And one of the last things I wanted to talk about is it's not new, it's new to me, but the chrysalis butterfly. My therapist was telling me a story about that. And the chrysalis butterfly, it has this hardening cocoon. But if you see the chrysalis, the butterfly or caterpillar trying to struggle within, you want to try to help it out, right? And you try to crack that chrysalis open so you think that you're helping. Well, actually, it's the struggle within that chrysalis. That constant struggling is what actually strengthens the wings so that it can break through and fly. If you try to break it out too soon, it won't have the strength to fly. It won't be able to do what it's supposed to do. And so sometimes we fight against that upward struggle, but sometimes it's making us stronger. When I had someone tell me, "Oh, you're too regal. You're trying to talk normal, Erica." I had that in an audition once. Someone tell me, talk normal. What do you mean by normal? For a Black girl? Is that what you mean? But those struggles really helped me. And now I'm not afraid to take up more space and know my value. So that's my little advice in the time that I have. Thank you, Sheran.
I love that, Erica. Thank you so very much for being here. Everybody, Dr. Erica Simmons, at home, applaud for her. Thank you so much for being here today, everyone, on That's Life with Sheran Keyton. I just want to leave with you. Figure out who you are. Figure out who you are. More importantly, figure out who it is that you want to be. And whatever you do, don't let anybody diminish your shine. Don't let anybody take that away from you. Don't let anybody tell you that you're less than, because you are designed for greatness. You are designed to be amazing. And guess what? Your greatness and your amazingness is not measured by anything that society could place out there. It's measured by you. So I'm excited that you all stopped by. I hope you keep checking it out. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. That is Life with Sheran Keyton.